On today's episode of What's Going On with Shipping, we have container ship explosions, we have container ship fires, and we have container ship falls. Hey, what's going on with shipping? Sal Mercogliano here. So we've had a run of incidences involving container ships this past week. Did a video earlier this week on the explosion on board YM Mobility in Ningbo. We're going to follow up with that with some new information that we have. There was a ship fire on board the ship MSC Capetown in Sri Lanka. And then we had a horrific accident that nearly led to a fatality where a container crane loading cargo in the port of Long Beach suffered a malfunction and the cab of the crane actually fell onto the ship. We're going to look at all three of those incidences and give you some updates. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so be alerted about new videos as they come out. So this is the video from YM Mobility and the explosion that took place. The ship was suffering a fire pre the event, and then a massive explosion took place on board the vessel. That video was taken from pierside there. You'll see the white smoke displaces to black smoke. Here's a view from ahead of the same explosion. You're in another vessel from that ship that's just forward here. You'll see looking aft a very close-up view of this explosion. Now, what we're finding out is that the ship was loading hazardous material at the time, in particularly a class 5.2 organic peroxide. And a lot of people have suppositions about this explosion. There are analogies to Beirut. There's discussions about lithium batteries. However, organic peroxide does seem to fit the bill here for this style of explosion. Story over in G-Captain by Mike Schuller. The explosion at Ningbo port seen impacting supply chains. So container exchange and online container trading and leasing marketplaces warning of serious repercussions following the explosion. Now, we know the port of Ningbo is open and cargo is moving at this time, but it did have an incident in the port that did temporarily shut everything down. So I want to look at the two statements that have been issued by Yang Min on this. We looked at one the other day. August 9th, Yang Min was informed of the incident on board YM Mobility. The cause of the incident is under investigations. The preliminary findings suggested an explosion occurred in a container loaded with dangerous goods on board. According to the shipper's declaration, the container was a reefer. Reefers are refrigerated containers used as a substitute for a dry container. So in other words, they were using a refrigerated container just for the storage of material. It was not plugged in, so there was no climate control. Immediate fire control measures were taken, and the situation is now under control. This is the follow-up statement. The exact cause of the incident remains to be clarified under professional assessment. Meanwhile, to ensure the safety of the vessel, expedite further response, 6 tugboats have been dispatched for safeguarding. Representatives from P&I, that is the Protection and Indemnity Clubs, this is the insurance companies, classification societies, and surveyors have been arriving on site. Yang Min is actively coordinating with authorities and experts for an immediate response once the incident is fully resolved. So this is the hazardous material we're talking about. Now, I should note, because I got some comments about this, I am a former merchant mariner, went to school for 4 years, got my Bachelor's of Science in Marine Transportation, sailed actively in the Merchant Marine for 3 years, worked ashore for them 4 years, and for 25 years I've been a firefighter, both professional and volunteer. And we study hazardous material, and 5.2 organic peroxides are some of the scariest things we deal with. The placard for them is there on the right. It's red over yellow. Red over yellow makes orange. Orange is a big boom. That's how you remember how bad organic peroxides are. They're oxidizing substances, meaning they create their own oxygen so that when they release oxygen, they just self-feed themselves. You can't really smother them. They cause fires to accelerate quickly. They give off tremendous amounts of heat, and they decompose at a very high rate. So this very old video is a good one to show you exactly what this material does. So you will notice in the fire that we had, there was a lot of white smoke being produced. That could have been some of the material in the container beginning to decompose, and you'll see when it gets to a high enough temperature or heated up enough, it will combust at will, and with a follow-on explosion. On the day of the incident, temperature was extremely high in Ningbo, almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit. You're capping there, high 20s, low 30s Celsius. So you're seeing extremely high temperature as the cargo was being loaded and put on the ship. When you look at the hazardous material guide, the reference sheet that firefighters use for this in the United States, organic peroxides are under guide 148. And one of the things you'll notice here where it says fire, the temperature of the substance must be maintained at below the control temperature at all times. If you have a large fire, flood area with water from a distance, use water spray or fog. Fire involving tanks, rail tank cars, or highway tanks, fight fire from maximum distance or use unmanned master stream devices or monitor nozzles. When we looked at the video there showing the fire, we knew the fire trucks with the snorkels were there, telescoping booms. They were using that cool containers with flooding quantities of water until well after fire is out. And then note right here, beware of possible container explosion. And it seems as if that may be the underlying issue here, is that a container of organic peroxide was loaded on the ship. We don't know what caused the incident to begin. It doesn't mean that the container itself was the cause. Again, it could have been during the loading process. The internal contents of the container may have been moved. If it's not being cooled and it exceeds the temperature needed for whichever material is in there to begin the decomposition, then you'll start getting that white smoke heat up, and then the container could potentially rupture, get oxygen into there. But again, it's self-oxidizing. It doesn't need to vent. It will produce enough oxygen on its own, and then you have that spontaneous combustion. So hazardous materials are some of the most dangerous products dealt with on board container ships, resulting in lots of fires. Go back to Express Pearl from a few years ago. Then we had a shipboard fire in the port of Colombo in Sri Lanka. Again, our good buddy Mike Schuller over at G Captain with the story. The Sri Lankan Port Authority successfully averted a potential disaster after a fire broke out on a container ship berth at the Jaya container terminal at the port of Colombo. MSC Capetown III, discharging 995 boxes and loading 880 boxes. The vessel is part of the East Africa service, arrived at JCT from Singapore on August 11th. It was carrying 596 through cargo containers. The Sri Lanka Port Authority reports that the fire started in the 4143 hatch. That is the one furthest aft, closest to the wheelhouse, the superstructure of the vessel, the main house, affecting around 100 underdeck containers and 60 on-deck containers, and escalated into an explosion. This is the video from the event taking place. You're looking from the after part of the vessel, looking forward. You can see the large amount of smoke coming out. You can start seeing some flames ripping through the area here. That is a major conflagration. Sri Lanka did a fantastic job controlling this fire and preventing the loss of the vessel. One of the things that needed to be done was move the large ship-to-shore cranes, big yellow cranes you see there. They had to be moved and put into a safe position. So here's some photos from after the event. You'll see the scarring on the aft house there. It appeared to get inside some of the interior cabins, so that's going to be causing lots of problems. I mean, as high as up toward the bridge. Here are those below deck containers. So on container ships, there are hatches so that you have a barrier between the below deck containers and the above deck containers. And this started obviously below deck where they had to fight the fire. Self-contained area. You have bulkheads that keep the hull segregated so that you can try to keep the fire isolated. It seems as if they did a great job in doing that. And here you see some of that post-fire cleanup of the event. So some of you are going to be asking, it's like, holy crap, Sal, there seems to be a lot of fires and incidents involving containers. One in Ningbo, another one now in Sri Lanka. Well, in truth, if you go back and look at container ships, there was a period not too long ago where it wasn't uncommon to see a fire on a container ship every 2 weeks. And one of the big fears going on right now in global shipping is that the safety and precautions have laxed. And there's a lot of reasons for this. There's, of course, the issue of money and you know, the quick velocity and volume of cargo going in. But there's also issues regarding crews. Since COVID, we have seen a big reduction in the professionalization of crews that have been on board. A lot of crews left as a result of COVID because they couldn't get on board or couldn't get off their vessels. So we've seen a big turnover in the crews on board. Ports are dealing with a lot more congestion than ever before, so there's a big turnaround to try to get ships in and out of ports faster. And again, when you start moving very quickly and not doing all the preventive maintenance you need to do, then we start seeing accidents happen, and that's what we're seeing right now. The last one is over in the port of Long Beach.
Hello everyone, it's Cranedaddy here. I just wanted to reach out to you guys. As you know, I was in an accident in the port of LA, Long Beach. My crane cab took a significant fall. I'm in the process of recovery right now, and I just wanted to reach out and just thank everybody out there on social media who has been sending me prayers, wishing me well. And I'm just happy to be here to share this with you guys. And I just wanted to come on here and update you guys and let you know that I'm here, and that all your support, all your messages, all your prayers just mean so much to me. It's really helping me get through this. And I will update you guys as much as I can. I can't say much about what's happened right now. But I'll keep you guys updated as much as I can. And again, I just wanted to say, this platform, all of you people out there, we have such a good community. And my longshoremen brothers and sisters, just everyone just sending me messages throughout the day. It means a lot to me. So thank you guys, and stay safe out there. And I will update you guys as soon as I can. But I just wanted to come on here and say hello to you guys and just thank you guys for all your thoughts and prayers. Everyone have a great day, and just please be safe out there.
So that's Cranedaddy. He's on social media, and he is one of many crane operators who work in ports that document their day. And so you can get that perspective from the top of one of those ship-to-shore cranes of him picking up and loading, unloading containers. And his crane suffered a serious malfunction where the cab, the car in which he is suspended under, detached from the crane and he fell. This is the news story out of Long Beach from the ABC 7 affiliate.
Yeah, Michelle, there's been a pretty serious mishap here at the port. You can see the cab attached to one of those rail cranes falling from the gantry and landing on top of a Chinese cargo ship there, right there on top of all of those containers. Now, there is normally an operator inside of there. We are not sure if there was one at the time of this collapse. However, we are being told that one person is being evaluated. We do not know their condition. Long Beach Fire and USAR just departed the scene here, so it does appear this is entering the investigation phase, but again, unclear on the extent of the injuries. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7.
Here you can see where the car detached. Remember, that view you get from the driver is right over the top of the trolley that moves and picks up the containers. So you're right over this spreader bar that picks up the containers. So fortunately, it was not a precipitous drop. Looking at that image there, probably around 30-40 feet is what we were talking about. These containers are about 8 feet high, a little bit of distortion here, so you came down, somewhere in that range. Fortunately, again, not an empty cell, did not fall over 100 feet, or that would have been absolutely catastrophic for Cranedaddy. So 3 incidences around the globe, from China to Sri Lanka to the port of Long Beach. And, one of the things I like to do is really highlight those who are involved on board these ships. Fortunately, in Ningbo, the crew was safe. They were back aft when that explosion took place, so we didn't see any injuries at all. In Sri Lanka, the crew assisted the shoreside in fighting that fire and making sure everything was good. And then Cranedaddy in Long Beach was safe and evacuated. As you saw, he posted some images of his wounds. I didn't want to share that with you, but he's banged up pretty good. So I always like to highlight not the CEOs, the corporate, the business side. We talk about that on this channel, but I like to talk about those who have their feet on the deck plates, actually doing the work. And it's always good to have a series of, bad stories with an explosion, a fire, and a catastrophic fall. But the good thing is no one was severely injured or killed in these instances. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you can, hey, don't worry about supporting my page. Head on over to Cranedaddy and go support him. Give him a like. Tell him you're glad he's doing okay. I'm sure he would appreciate it. But again, stay tuned, subscribe and like, and we will be back with more stories as they develop. This is Sal signing off.